The child's drawing that predicts deaths. It started with the scribbles. Ellie was always drawing. At 3 years old, she had an endless supply of crayons and an insatiable need to use them. Her little hands would clutch those waxy sticks, dragging them across paper, walls, even the kitchen table if I wasn't paying attention. At first it was harmless. Stick figures, blobs of color, the occasional sun with a smiley face. The kind of art you'd expect from a toddler. But then, the details started to appear. It was subtle at first. A jumble of letters and numbers in the corner of one of her drawings. 4JK7R2. I didn't think much of it. Kids scribble random things all the time, right? But the next day, I saw the news. A fatal car accident on the highway. The license plate of the car involved 4JK7R2. I told myself it was a coincidence. A few days later, Ellie drew a house with a tree next to it. Above the house, she wrote Maple Saint. I didn't recognize the address, but when I drove past Maple Street later that week, I saw the same house, complete with the tree, surrounded by police tape. A neighbor had died in their sleep. That's when the unease set in. Ellie's behavior changed too. She started giggling while she drew, like she was sharing a private joke. When I asked her what was so funny, she just said, "Shadow friend told me to draw it." Shadow friend. At first I thought it was just an imaginary friend. Kids have those, right? But the way she said it, her voice was so matter-of-fact, like she was talking about a real person. And then there were the stares. She'd be sitting in her high chair, crayon in hand, and suddenly she'd stop and look at the corner of the room. Just stare, like someone was standing there. When I asked her what she was looking at, she'd say, "Shadow friend is watching." I started to dread the sound of crayons on paper. Last week, Ellie drew a picture of a man lying on the ground. Above him, she wrote, "Mr. Jenkins." Mr. Jenkins is our next-door neighbor. He's in his 70s, a sweet old man who always waves when he sees Ellie. I didn't want to believe it. I told myself it was just another coincidence. But 2 days later, Mr. Jenkins had a heart attack while mowing his lawn. He didn't make it. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe Ellie overheard someone talking about his health. Maybe she'd seen him looking unwell and her toddler brain processed it in a weird way. But deep down, I knew something was very, very wrong. Ellie's preschool teacher, Ms. Carter, died yesterday. 3 days ago, Ellie drew a car wrapped around a tree. Above it, she wrote Ms. Carter in her shaky toddler handwriting. I didn't know what to do. Should I warn her? Tell her not to drive? But how could I explain that without sounding insane? I didn't say anything. Yesterday morning, Ms. Carter was killed in a car accident. Her car skidded off the road and hit a tree. I'm not sleeping anymore. Every time I close my eyes, I see Ellie's drawings. This morning, Ellie handed me a new drawing. It was a coffin. Above it, she'd written Mommy, and below that, a date, tomorrow's date. I felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. I asked her what it meant, and she just giggled. "Shadow friend said it's your turn," she whispered. I don't know what to do. I've thought about destroying the drawing, but what if that makes it worse? What if it's already too late? I've thought about running, taking Ellie and just driving as far away as I can. But what if the drawing follows us? What if it's not about where we are, but when? And then I noticed something. The crayon Ellie used to draw the coffin was snapped in half, just like the way my neck will break in the accident. I'm staying up tonight. I won't sleep. I won't let my guard down. If something's coming for me, I'll be ready. Ellie's in her room, asleep. I can hear her whispering to Shadow Friend. I don't know what's real anymore. This post was last edited at 3:47 a.m. User account deleted.